Hi guys, I found some information that I'd like to share with everyone. So first off, this is a Bank of Canada governor. His name is Tiff Macklem. And Tiff Macklem talks about Bitcoin, central bank digital currencies, and inflation. So I'm speeding this up so we can save some time.
I got to ask you about crypto. Everybody say, I just invested in Bitcoin or this one and that one. And is the future of money crypto? Is that going to happen? Where are you on that? And what does it mean for stabilization, security, crime? I mean, this is a huge challenge to the classic monetary system. What's your view on the future of crypto?
You got a lot of big questions, Evan.
Well, how often do I get to talk to you, Gov?
Yeah, look, it's a pleasure. All the things we think about. So, first of all, we have banknotes, and we're going to have banknotes, at least for the whole time that I'm governor. They're not going away. At the same time, our economy is becoming more digital, and the pandemic has accelerated that. And so you do have to ask yourself the question, should the central bank give Canadians the ability to have central bank money in a digital format? We've been doing a lot of work. I would say we've been doing a lot of R&D. First of all, doing research on what are the features that you would want in a digital currency. How could we do that? What are the risks? And now I would say we're moving from the R and R&D to the D, more to the development. Okay, now we've done a lot of research. Let's see, could we actually develop? It's still some ways off, and ultimately whether we have a central bank digital currency in this country is a decision of the Minister of Finance. But we certainly want to be ready if we come to the view, and then the government comes to the view, that it would make sense to have a central bank digital currency. Right now,
people are buying Bitcoin anyway.
Yeah, Bitcoin though, let's be clear, Bitcoin is not a digital currency. People do not use Bitcoin to buy things. People use Bitcoin, they're speculating. It's an investment. And I'll let other people give investment advice as to whether it's a good investment. But it is not a currency in the sense that you and I transact in Bitcoin.
Well, people are paying for stuff. They're paying me in Bitcoin. I'll buy your house in Bitcoin.
The amount of stuff that really gets bought and sold in Bitcoin is very small. It's mostly people buying it for speculative purposes. They're buying it because they think the price is going to go up and they're going to make money. They're not buying it to buy their groceries or buy their house or fill up their gas tank.
Okay, before I let you go.
All right, so the big takeaway here is that he's saying they're going from central bank digital currencies, they're going from research to development. So they're moving forward on the development of central bank digital currencies. Prior to this, they always said, we have to see what what happens with the research and everything. So that's a big takeaway. The other thing that he's saying is he's kind of critiquing Bitcoin and saying that nobody uses it as a medium exchange, which we'll get into. But today, Ripple announced this liquidity hub situation where you're going to be able to trade and use assets on RippleNet. So let me get to the next area.
Finally, what's keeping you up at night?
Well, let's go back to where we started. Inflation's 4.5%. We think it's going up close to 5%. That's an uncomfortable place to be when your mandate is 2% inflation. So what really, our focus is really secure that complete recovery and bring inflation back to 2%. And that's number one.
Governor, thanks for taking the time.
All right, so the thing that keeps him up at night is high inflation. We're at 4.5%, he says. So their mandate, all central banks' mandate, is supposed to be 2%, and that comes from the inflation gold has, right? When gold was the standard, you can mine 2%, and that was brought into the supply. So their model mimics the gold standard, but with fiat, and they're supposed to keep it at 2% to curtail inflation. Now they're at 4.5%. He says that it can go as high as 5%. So that's what's keeping him up at night. So this is really bullish for crypto. It's really bullish for precious metals, this whole setup. And the other part of this is, the inflation rate, right? If something bad were to happen, some type of financial calamity were to happen, there's no room left. They're at max with everything. So if there's another lockdown, there's too big to fails or anything, there's not much room left. So another scenario is the yield curve inverting. If that were to happen, they can't do yield. They don't have the tools to manipulate the yield curve. So the next piece of information, this is Yahoo Finance with Ashish Birla, and let's see what he has.
We're very early in this industry, essentially starting when there was the great financial crisis. How do you think crypto would do during another financial crisis? It's not going to happen tomorrow, of course, but it's going to happen at some point in our lifetime.
Well, I definitely have more gray hairs since I've been up and down,
You're doing okay so far.
crypto. But Listen, I never hope for a financial crisis, but I hope that crypto is at a point where folks have more choice by using crypto and can potentially safeguard their assets by using decentralized technology. Hey, I'm not even concerned with just a financial meltdown, but what happens if governments go insolvent and you have your assets in an Argentine peso or Venezuelan currency? And I've seen high adoption rates for crypto in those countries because it provides them financial future in case a government goes insolvent. But the same thing is true in case of another financial meltdown. If you use decentralized technology, I think that it's safer and it's decentralized in the fact that it's not reliant on one financial institution. Today, most of the world, as we learned from 2008, is reliant on 4 or 5 global money center banks. I think that's a problem, and we saw the repercussions of that.
Why is it a problem?
Well, it's a problem is because really folks are dependent on each other. And if one goes insolvent, it's sort of like a dominoes. The rest of them go insolvent. And as a business school student in 2008, I learned about how fragile this world was. And then when I learned about Bitcoin, soon after, I'm like, this is the way you build financial technology. We saw the power of the internet and what it did for democratizing access for information. This is the same thing that's going to happen here, is that we're not going to be reliant on those 5 big money center banks in the future. We're going to be reliant on decentralized financial technology, and I think that we'll all benefit from that.
Does this help bring costs down in the industry?
We've seen our own customers benefit from bringing costs down, and the reason is that it takes the middlemen off, out of the supply chain. We saw that with cross-border payments. There's fewer middlemen. There's fewer intermediaries for the transaction to go through. If you reduce the number of middle men in a transaction, the costs go down. And I think you'll see the same thing. You remove friction out of even getting a loan, like we're seeing in the early days of DeFi, and the costs come down. Access goes up, and that's a good thing, I think, for the world. The world needs more financial access. The world needs more financial tools for everyday people around the world.
All right, so what are you saying is during the next financial crisis, right, the correspondent banking network is all tied to each other. So there's 7 banks that control cross-border payments. Now, if one of those goes down, they all go down, right? So RippleNet and what they're doing is kind of like a whole decentralized settlement layer for banks, right? Mostly banks join RippleNet, smaller FIs. So, it ties into, we're at high inflation. There's no tools left in the toolbox, and now, if something were to happen, these too big to fails, if they fail, there's no out for them. So there's RippleNet, where you can send cross-border payments, and you can make that happen on the settlement layer. So the other part of this, him going from with central bank digital currencies from research to development. Central bank digital currencies are a tool for this, right? So you can have deep negative interest rates with central bank digital currencies. And now the next thing is, I can't play this video because Ripple Liquidity Hub, this video has licensed music, so I'll add the link in the description below. But Ripple just announced this crypto asset platform for big corporates to exchange crypto. So we're in this high rate of inflation, and now companies like Tesla are buying Bitcoin, right? So I think that trend's going to continue, and I think there's a lot of big corporates right now that are leaning into crypto and have part of their treasury in crypto, as well as those big companies, when they're working in these smaller countries with high inflation, they can utilize crypto. They can utilize it because it's an asset outside of fiat. So I thought it was interesting that this Ripple video, they show MasterCard, Visa, Square, PayPal as examples, right? Now, MasterCard, MasterCard, there was recently this video that Bank XRP found, which is a DBS video, and this guy was head of MasterCard, and he talks about Ripple and MasterCard being partners. So
we're working
I can play this.
Different acceptance network as of now, but we think it's coming. So as a result, we said, okay, well, let's at least get ready to set up the stage. And doing so, we're working with a number of different partners, with Ripple, TBS, different companies around the world.
All right, so he says they're working with, so this is a MasterCard. He's from MasterCard, and he's saying he's working with Ripple and DBS. So the other example they have is Visa. And, I mean, there's nothing that says Visa plus Ripple, right? But Visa's been acquiring all Earthport. They acquired Earthport. SEB sells some of its stake to Visa, and Visa kind of positioned itself to absorb a lot of RippleNet customers, right? Or RippleNet partners, rather. And I keep seeing that type of behavior play out, where you're seeing some of the smaller fintechs and everything get absorbed by these larger companies. So this is Square, right? The other thing that I found that was interesting, which I can't find the actual PDF, but when I searched my Twitter handle, Navati, I found a screenshot that I had. But it says Ripple partnering with Afterpay in New Zealand. And Afterpay is a company that Square absorbed as well. And Afterpay is like, you can put every purchase on credit and pay it afterwards. So that's the name. The other information that I wanted to let you guys know about is iTrust surpassed 3.5 billion in trade volume. So right now we're in high inflation and high taxes. We keep hearing stuff with tax the rich, but I don't believe that. I think everybody's going to be taxed heavily, and if you have an IRA, that this insulates you from taxes. So this is something you guys should research and look at. iTrust offers a lot of crypto assets. My link is in the description below. This is the next piece of information. This is Tim Cook he's the CEO of Apple right now.
You just said that you might not do it personally. Do you own crypto, any Bitcoin or Ethereum? Would you play around with this?
I do, yeah. I think it's reasonable to own it as a part of a diversified portfolio. And I'm not giving anybody investment advice, by the way.
When did you get interested in it?
I've been interested in it for a while. And I've, been researching it and so forth. And so I think it's interesting.
A lot of people, I don't know if you've talked about this publicly before, are people going to say that you're a Bitcoin bull?
I don't know what they're going to say. I wouldn't.
Okay, so the CEO of Apple is saying that personally he's invested in crypto, right? So this kind of gets into what I was saying before with the high inflation, Tesla having Bitcoin on their balance sheet. I really think a lot of these larger companies have crypto on their balance sheet, and you hear rumors from like some of these videos, like the Anchorage Digital Asset Bank has said stuff like that and kind of alluded to. It doesn't give you any specifics, but kind of gives you the hint of what's going on. So this is Apple CEO, and if he's investing personally in crypto assets, why wouldn't he want to use crypto utility, right? Be able to move money in these places, like Apple's in the Philippines, Apple's in Brazil, be able to move money out of those corridors quickly, fast, cheap, all the above, and kind of stay away from high inflation. And if you guys didn't know, this is the other co-founder of Apple. He's part of this eForce that has a token. Now, it's interesting to me that this CEO and this co-founder from Apple are both leaning in towards crypto, and the more influential people get into crypto, the more pull that they have with governments and everything. So I don't think the regulations are going to hinder innovation. I think they can afford lobbyists. They can they're influential and can make things happen. This token, however, I'm not invested in. I don't really like, this chart. I think it's kind of a bear market type looking chart, right? You have lower lows, higher lows, so I'm staying away from it, but I just wanted to bring this to everyone's attention. And this is like a green energy, blockchain-based energy saving platform. So I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Have a good night, everyone.